Here's my audience. Alright, my name's Anthony Gala, and today I'm going to be telling you guys how to do an oil change. People spend a lot of money each year taking their vehicle to a shop to get an oil change done. The price can range anywhere from $25 to $60 plus tax, and depending on how much and which type of oil used, such as conventional, synthetic blend, and full synthetic. Personally, I always use full synthetic because it offers the best protection, and the motor being the most important part of the car, you want to make sure it is well taken care of by using good oil and changing it on time every 5,000 miles or sooner. The process of performing an oil change is actually very simple. On average, it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to do one on my own vehicle. This can get messy, so taking caution and always paying attention will add to your success without spilling oil all over the place, including yourself. With a few simple steps, you'll be out of your garage and back on the road in no time. First off, you'll need a few tools. You'll need a floor jack and some jack stands to support the vehicle, or use ramps, but they're not as sturdy as jack stands, so I would recommend jack stands and a floor jack. You'll need a wrench that fits on the drain plug that screws into the bottom of your oil pan. It looks something like this. Any one will work as long as it's the right size and you can get your hand on it good. You'll want also a couple of rags for easy cleanup. You'll need a funnel, an oil filter wrench, which basically looks like a wrench handle with like a band around it. That way, when you put it around the oil filter, when you tighten or loosen it, the band gets tighter, so it acts like a wrench. You'll need a drain pan of any sort that is big enough that will hold as much oil as you're putting in, essentially. You'll need a new oil filter that is the right one for your car, and any parts store or distributor will tell you what kind it is and so on. You'll also need the right amount of oil for your vehicle and also the proper weight, such as like you'll see bottles that say 5W30, 5W20. It's all vehicle specific, and they could also tell you that at the parts store as well. The first step is you're going to want to find a somewhat level surface to pull your car on. Once you're parked, you may begin jacking the car up at a proper lift point, such as a control arm or any part of the frame. It is important that you know where you're lifting to prevent serious damage to any part of the car. You want to place the jack stands at a height you are comfortable crawling underneath, and place them at a good spot, such as the pinch welds, which are the folded piece of metal along the side of the car, or the frame. Once positioned, you may lower the jacks slowly onto the jack stands. Once the vehicle is secured on the jack stands, you might want to get out from underneath and or alongside of the car and shake the car a little bit to make sure it's stable. You then want to pop your hood and remove your oil cap. This allows the oil to drain much quicker and acts as a bleed valve in a sense when you remove the drain plug, so oil drains quicker. You can then crawl underneath your car and find the drain plug on the oil pan. The oil pan is the largest part under the car, which has the biggest bolt, or which has the bolt going on the side of it. It's not hard to miss. You want to take your wrench and loosen the bolt a little bit. Once the bolt is loosened, you want to position your drain pan under the drain plug and remove the drain plug pretty quickly, because oil is going to start spewing out, and if it's warm, it can get all over you and potentially burn you, and it just makes a mess. Once all the oil is drained, you may put the drain plug back in and tighten it until it is snug. Over-tightening this bolt can cause serious damage to the oil pan and can cause leaks. Now you can move over to the oil filter. This is a canister-looking object that hangs below the car on the bottom of the motor, somewhat near the oil pan. It all depends on the vehicle. But if possible, you can unscrew it by hand. Sometimes they're pretty tough and stuck on there, but otherwise you should be able to get it. But if you can't get it by hand, you can use the oil filter wrench as I explained before. And the process goes the same as the drain plug. You want to just crack it loose, move the drain pan underneath, and unscrew it and get out of the way. Once that's done draining, make sure the rubber O-ring came off with the filter. You can verify this by looking at the filter you just took off and making sure it is there. If not, then look where the oil filter goes back onto the car. Sometimes it gets stuck on the edge, and it is crucial that this O-ring is removed because when reinstalling the new filter, there's a new O-ring on it, and you don't want to have two on there because it won't provide a good seal and can cause leaks. Next, you reinstall the new filter and tighten it until it's snug, the same way as the drain plug. Not too tight, not too loose, just enough to where it's not leaking and secured on the car. Now you're done with underneath the car, so you can fill your engine back up with new oil. The parts store can provide you with the proper amount your vehicle takes. For instance, my car takes 5.5 quarts, which is pretty standard, but you should just make sure. Take the funnel and place it where the oil cap was. You can now begin pouring the oil back into your engine. Once you get close to the right amount of oil you're supposed to put in, you want to check your dipstick to make sure the right amount is to where it's at the full mark or needs oil or the right amount. Once the dipstick says that the oil is filled, you want to start your car for about 10 seconds only. This just recirculates the oil, and then you'll just shut the car off and then recheck the dipstick. If the dipstick says good, you're fine. You can then put the oil cap back on and replace the dipstick. Otherwise, you might need to add a little bit because the oil filter does consume some oil, so that's why I recommend that you get another quart of oil on top of whatever you're already getting, just in case. Once your cap is back on and you're all set underneath the hood, it's a good idea to look under the car to make sure there's no visible leaks or drips or anything like that. You can now jack the car back up and remove the jack stands and slowly lower the car back to the ground and clean up. Make sure that you take the old oil to a proper recycling or waste service. Do not pour it down the drain. It may sound like a lot of steps to do an oil change, but in all reality, once you do it once or twice, it shouldn't take any longer than 20 minutes. And with about $15 to $30 worth of supplies, you saved yourself time waiting in a shop, you saved yourself some money, and you learned a new skill. Remember, safety is key, so always be cautious and have some fun getting dirty and doing some car work yourself. Any questions? Alright, here's my audience again, they're still here.